Yo, what is up, folks? MTG here with another installment of Meta Check. This is the second video in a series I've just started doing, and hopefully will continue doing, covering the top decks in the Pioneer and therefore also Explorer, the MTG Arena equivalent, meta, and kind of going through each of them, any potential versions that are currently being played that are like, okay, there's like two versions of this deck that are both quite popular, or in this case, just the meta version. Today we're taking a look at Rakdos Midrange. It's a deck that's been around for an absolute age in the format, it feels like. Pretty much ever since like Fable the Mirror Breaker was printed. We've seen various iterations. Obviously, last year in February at the Pro Tour, we saw Rakdos Vampires, which led to the banning of Sorin. And at the moment, the way the deck builds is there's, again, we've kind of consolidated into one core build, and that is the demon build of Rakdos Midrange. Rakdos Demons with Unholy Annex is like an excellent like Phyrexia Arena style draw engine that then like also gives you like this powerful late game finisher. We use Drain Your Opponent Out, obviously has the demon staple to the backside, and then playing that alongside some other demons and fitting into this really nice package. It's had a few other nice additions, but I'll kind of run through from the bottom. But this is what I would say the stock list is right now. 4 copies of Fatal Push, 4 copies of Thoughtseize. These are, yeah, Black Deck and Pioneer, we're going to play these cards. Nothing really to talk about here. 2 copies of Duress here, extra hand disruption. These are particularly important on Arena at the moment, because we just had like Lotus Field adds to the format. But general like combo and control, hey. 2 copies of Torch the Tower, as additional removal versus mono red, and explicitly additional removal that also exiles, which is really, really nice versus some of the decks of the format with like lots of dice effects. One thing that is very, very nice about Rakdos is that you get to play like a bunch of hand disruption and a bunch of early removal, and the decks where either of those elements are bad, ideally you get to like discard those cards to either blood tokens or to Fable. So you kind of don't get like punished as you would do normally for like having all your early removal in hand versus the blue-white control deck. So that's really, really solid. At 2 then, we have a Blood-Tithe Harvester. Again, it's just been in the deck since it was printed. Nice removal, 3 power, like beats down pretty well, and that blood token is pretty handy as well. We have some early removal to supplement the Fatal Pushes with Go for the Throat and Anoint with Affliction. Again, exile a piece of removal here, and then Go for the Throat. There aren't many popular artifact creatures in the format. This is really, really solid. And then we kind of have the start of the Demon package with Blade of the Oni. 2-mana Demon. It's a 3-1 menace, so like versus like slower decks in the format can actually clock quite quickly. And then yeah, later on, in theory, you can like reconfigure and do some stuff over there. But it's a 2-mana way to trigger Unholy Annex for having a demon in play, so that you're gaining the life instead of losing the life. And then also is an artifact for our next card, which is Fear of Missing Out. This card is maybe in contention potentially for one of the best cards printed last year. 1 red for a 2/3 enchantment creature, enter the battlefield, discard, then draw. But then Delirium, whenever it attacks the first time each turn, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, untap target creature. After this phase is an additional combat phase. In particular in this deck, not only is the like discard smoothing you out, but you can activate the Delirium fairly easily. You have a pile of enchantments, like then I mentioned the Blade of the Oni is an artifact, and then you also have this combo with Fear of the Missing Out and Fable the Mirror Breaker to just kind of like, hey look, here's a Splinter Twin, effectively. Very, very powerful. At 3, of course, we have Fable. This card again has been around forever, it's just incredible. Does everything, and then 1 copy of Withering Torment, which has also become a little bit standard. It's an additional like removal spell here, but particularly being able to be flexible in black-red to destroy enchantments is really, really useful at the moment. And you've got a Honey Alex lying around, you've got things like Leyline Binding, the Niv, the 5-color Niv deck is very, very popular. And hey, you lose a couple of life, but the flexibility is there, and it's really, really nice in addition to the deck. Lastly, 3 Shell Dreads, and then, as mentioned before, the Unholy Annexes. 4 copies of our like Phyrexian Arena style effects. Beginning your end step, draw a card, so you get the card straight away, which is nice. You control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, otherwise you lose 2 life. And then we have the Blade of the Onis, and we have some Mutavaults on our mana base, so that we have some demons, despite not playing the kind of like clunky top end with any of the like 4-mana demons in the deck, which is super, super nice. And then obviously Ritual Chamber off the back half of that, we can get our 6/6 demon this way too, and being able to do that is super, super awesome and unlock us like a very, very strong late game. The mana base, as mentioned before, we finally have Urborg on Arena, but the Mutavaults are what this kind of enables. And the Mutavaults are very, very good with the Annex, as well as like, hey, versus control decks, they want to like wipe your board, maybe you assemble like a couple of things, like you can clock them out with Mutavaults as well, and then like black-red lands here. The sideboard, because I will be taking this into best of 3 to kind of showcase the deck. The idea behind these are they're kind of like shorter videos overall, just to be like, hey, look, this is like the meta version of the deck at the moment. Let's take into some games. And be like around like 20 minutes, 25 minutes in that ballpark. So that's the concept I'm running with. So let me know what you think about that in the comments as well. But I want to do like a shorter-ish video, just going through each of the meta decks in turn. Was originally I was calling like Meta Monday, and I was going to do one a week for a bit until I run out. And yeah, meta check just seemed nicer. And I used to do it when I was doing like Overwatch Halo content. Which anyway, yeah. So sideboard, we have some variation in removal. So the extra Torch Tower versus aggro next is really nice. Similarly, Anoint Affliction. These like exile removal effects are super powerful versus the current iterations of the mono red deck. It comes with Extinction Event. These are super solid. Versatile Wraths, where you can like keep some of your creatures in play but remove some of your opponents. In particular, versus like the Hexproof deck, having like Wrath support into is explicitly like better than it wouldn't necessarily otherwise be. And then also, in particular with Extinction Event, you're not worried about like the power of the creatures for a damage-based removal spell, or like Ritual of Soot would be also fine, but the exile is super valuable as well. Invoke Despair, similarly, like this is a way to like out enchantments, which is really nice, but in particular, just like making your opponent just pick up all their permanents. But can also like double as a fireball. Is just very good in a lot of the mid-range matchups. And things like Enigmatic Incarnation, which has become a bit more popular, Niv Mizzet, like once you kind of start getting, if they get to their mid-range, kind of like start getting towards the late game stuff, Invoke Despair kind of helps you clear the board away. 2 Grafting's Cage versus Graveyard decks. 2 Abrades, again, can be early removal, but primarily like utility versus decks that are playing artifacts. Damping Sphere, so we do now have Lotus Field on Arena, as I mentioned before, is good in some other matchups. And then 2 copies of Hitsugu consumes all. We really don't want to lose some of these aggro decks. It is some more Graveyard hit as well, but yeah, just really solid sideboard here. So with that being said, I'm going to take this into some best of 3 ranked, and this will be a little bit different to normal in that I'm going to try and edit down the video a little bit so that to kind of cut out the dead time. So it won't be as much of my thought process, but hopefully you can still see the deck in action. Let me know what you think about that. The idea of that is basically to be able to play this as best of 3 and still have like a shorter video. The first one I did these with Mono Green, I did with best of 1 videos, best of 1 matches, in order to be able to showcase as many matches as possible. So it's kind of like, would you like to see best of 3 versus more matchups? So let me know what you think about that in the comments. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Do like, share the video around, and yeah, all that stuff helps me out a ton. And let's see how the deck performs as a match. I'm not sure how many matches we're getting to the video. If it's a long match, it might just be 1. I'll try and again, I'm going to edit it down a little bit. The 5 lands, not what we're looking for. Gonna keep this. Go back Sheoldred, seems like the most solid thing to do. And if like this dress is dead, then we'll go the other way. I'm gonna open with Urborg. Hopefully we're not fixing their mana, but not something to really think about. Given they mull to 5, we might just be able to. Oh, they're on Lotus Field as well. I guess just hit the Impulse. There is a concern here that actually using this to take the Vizier and then taking the Impulse would be better. But we'll get to have another look. Optimal for us to Blood Tithe Harvester this turn, get it into play, get the clock in play, and then Duress, because they still have to basically wait another turn until they... The one consideration, and this appears to be the blue-red version of the deck, so this is a... Okay. If that Expedition map was for turn, then I feel like, yeah, it's worth feeling bad a little bit, but you can't feel too bad here. Thinking longer term, we kind of would rather take the Port of the Pages anyway. We'll attack here. They can crack map, go... Okay, they're going to make the Artist Talent instead. So this version of the deck basically tries to draw through their deck with Artist Talent. Gonna untap here. Draw through the deck with Artist Talent and then like kill generally with like Passus Oracle. I'm just going to try and put as much damage out there as possible. I'm not sure I actually prefer playing... I guess if they're worried about hand disruption, you play the Artist Talent out. Let's just keep it up. Yeah, they're dead in their turn cycle, so they're not going to get a chance. Okay. The Vice's Field, this is a little bit different. We want the Damping Spheres. The blue-red version as well, I'm trying to think. They have some with sideboard stuff. I'm like, these deal enchantments. The problem is that like these fatal pushes, these torch towers do very little to nothing. We have to be a little worried about them boarding in some stuff, and we can keep some removal to have answers to Leer. Something like Withering Torment, picking up enchantments is quite nice. But like you see, we're cutting a lot of cards here. I'm not 100% sure they'll go to the throat, but I think being able to maybe shoot off Leer is worthwhile. So from our side, the Invoke Despair not only acts as a way to out enchantments, obviously it's slow at 5 mana, but it's also a bit of a fireball, especially when we have so many dead cards. I'm trying to think. I make sure I'm missing anything. Yeah, it's just creature cards from libraries and cast spells from libraries. But the blue-red version of the deck isn't doing like I mean, even Soul Ultimatum doesn't really cast from library. So, hey, I'm thinking like, are there any other artifacts I need to worry about? I need to put 2 cards back in. Which I think. It's unlikely we're going to get to like a braided expedition map on the play, but it's not impossible. This is probably better than having like Torch Tower Fatal Push. Also, if they actually cast Vizier, then these pick them up. Is there nothing else we'd rather have? Okay. This is a matchup where like we don't really have enough things to board in. We have a Damping Sphere, we like that. The blue-red version deck as well, I guess it's worth noting, doesn't have access to like Beseiju, whereas the blue-green like field deck plays like 2 to 3 copies post-board, which is for sure pretty annoying. Make up to 1 lander. Okay, given that we don't necessarily want to run this Damping Sphere out straight away, I think we'll just go Harvester. If they kept a 1 lander without a cantrip, I don't think what their hand must be really good for them to do this. They must have kept like a 1 land Lotus Field hand. Yeah. Alright, we'll go second match. That was very, very short. I keep forgetting to move my camera. This looks super solid. We'll go ahead and keep this. The one consideration here is that if our opponent had like a Yorion, you'd want to mulligan. But it should be quite good in whatever this is. Where Cliffs go. Basically planning long term to discard this Thoughtseize to the fear of missing out. See what actually happens here. I'm not gonna remove this without incident. Okay, given that they don't have anything else to play, go ahead and push this. I'm gonna make Harvester over FOMO just because it gives us like more evil in play. The fact that they only have 1 land does make it more tempting to cast the Thoughtseize, but I think if we want to do that, we want to wait till next turn anyway. We'll see. We see the black-red version of the deck, so it looks like... Okay, claim. It very much like the heroic deck. Looks like the heroic deck. Okay. Ooh, and Reckless Rage too. They might even be on some kind of like Dreadhawk Arcanist style deck. Which makes casting a Thoughtseize very tempting, even though it feels pretty bad. Thoughtseize, you're missing out. Okay, I think the best thing for us to do go. You're missing out first. I'm doing this over killing the Swift Spear, which feels weird. Yeah, so we see. Oh, we see Manifold Mouse. Mouse by itself isn't doing it. I might just take the Cell Sword here. Yeah, sure. They don't have loads to do. I want to see what we draw for Fear Missing Out. If we thought he's first there, like obviously we can still cast this. We can make the decision like, oh, actually we want to torch the tower. I think this is okay. We didn't see it. We know they have a Fatal Push. We don't necessarily want to slam Shield Dread right now. There we go. And obviously we have the advantage if we leave the blood token in play, we can have access to the extra life gain with Sheoldred, depending what we draw here. So I'm choosing to torch the Manifold Mouse. The reason for this is if they draw Heartfire Hero, the Manifold Mouse gains a value, like a lot of value. If they sit and play, basically, if they draw Manifold Mouse, it means the Manifold Mouse gets to attack into our Sheoldred, like profitably, which we do not want. Now we're on 12. Okay, I'm gonna play the Mutavault out. We'll cast Sheoldred, and also go here, with the idea being to loot this away. They have no real intention of blocking. They have this from the graveyard to give something +2/+1 on haste, but with the mana they've got access to, not super worried. They're not gonna. Okay, they're not even trying to bluff attack with the Swift Spear, so that's fair enough. We'll go ahead and activate here. Okay. Two unknown cards plus this. They can double strike this, and it's like pretty annoying. I was thinking like, oh, we could like attack here and try and clock them. For the minute they're 16 going to 14. If you attack 3, they go to 12 down to 10. And they're a bit more worried. We still have this front block, but if they have like monstrous rage, we're in a bit of a rough spot. We can even do some weird blocking here. The main thing is that we don't want to block with the Sheoldred anyway. It's just a deterrent. I kind of like the idea of trying to close the game down. I'm holding on to this Mutavault to discard to Fable. This like puts the clock down, makes sure we shut them down time wise. So they can now cast Fame plus something else. If they have Fame plus Mana Fade Mana Fade. Manifest. Now so that's like a little worrying. They're gonna keep it up, okay. I was gonna animate Mutavault on block here. Alright, post board. The Evoke's ready for midrange matchups. These is hits you use as well. I'm worried about these. And in terms of what we're cutting, I'm gonna go out with Dresses and Thoughtseize. I think everything else is pretty good. This is a clean swap in, like removal. The Abrades, I think we leave out here. The Whirling Torment isn't at its best actually. Maybe we swap these round. The Unholy Annexes are interesting, but like take over the game in some situations. This is the other area you've got to cut down on. Might trim one of these to bring the other Abrade, but we're really boarding super high on removal. But that is, I think, fine. Yeah. These will still like take over the game later on. We need stuff to close out. But the worry is to be like flanky at the top here, bringing the executed events alongside Sheoldred and the demons. The blades are also like a little sketchy. They like block okay. Blocking isn't real, but they do some relevant stuff. Alright. I can keep this. Can't ask for a lot better. Okay, so they brought into hand description on their side. They see Hidetsugus, they see the Fatal Pushes, they see the Torture Tower. I assume they take the Hidetsugu because it turns into a threat later. But they might not do. I think the Harvester, which is interesting. They've not seen it, but I'm going to play the Cliffs here just to give us the most options. Obviously, if we like if we go like runner Cliffs, it becomes much more of a problem. We play something else here. Let's be. I'm going to Fatal Push it. The one thing here is that if they then like go like 2-drop, 2-drop, or if they make like a 2-drop, we would rather save these for their larger threats. We have to get this. But in particular, I don't want to leave us super exposed. Yeah, so they're going to claim here. They're going to use both halves. I'll just let this happen. I think I'm happy enough just going like one form when they hit at Sugis for them to then have access to a bunch of removal. I'm going to take 4 here. Alright, do the thing. There's us making like only getting like a 1 form with this. It then turns into more than that because it'll transform and stuff. But that means we've got actual removal for the larger creatures. My graveyard. They have 2 cards in hand. I kind of just want to clear these up. And they know we have. They're like tapped out. We don't want to get got by like monster roll tokens or like infuriate type stuff. And the fatal push is like the cleanest answer we have. So I'm actually just gonna clear all of this. We'll pay red. Make the blade. And then this lets us in theory turn the corner and start going aggressive with Mutavault, Blade of the Oni, and eventually the Hitsugi creature. Best of the all consuming. Alright. I want to be a little careful with the Heartfire Hero, but we're just killing with the Mutavault for now. I'll hold on to Blackleaf Cliffs. We like curve out at 4 effectively here. Apart from the demons, I think. But if we draw like Fable or and that is Rakdos Midrange. We didn't see any of the demon stuff. We were just like super solid. Ran our opponent kind of like out of the important cards there. They also mulliganed versus like the Lotus Field deck, and then versus mono red. This version of the deck is, or the version this deck is kind of developed into, is just got so much other removal and is boarding into literally a bazillion more. So just plain good. Doesn't try and get too fancy with it. Rakdos Midrange is still probably the best deck in the format in terms of like consistency and putting up results. It is the most played deck in the format as well, if you look on like Magic Online results as well. And yeah, if you want to do well, this is the place. This is maybe the best place to be. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, subscribe, share the video around. I really appreciate that. And yeah, big recommendation from me. Rakdos Midrange, as much as frustrating as it can be sometimes, is still one of the best decks in Pioneer in 2025. Thanks for watching. Peace out.